What if everything you're chasing, everything you fear losing, already belongs to you, the moment you stop running from yourself? What if everything you've been taught to serve, to please, to hide your needs, has kept you trapped in anxiety and emptiness? You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. What would happen if you finally chose yourself above all else? Stay with me, because at the end of this video, I'll share a powerful bonus lesson that could change the way you relate to yourself and to life itself. Let's explore how choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's the key that unlocks everything you've been waiting for. Let's begin. 1. Choosing yourself feels like stepping into the unknown. It feels strange, even frightening, to say yes to your own truth after years of bending under the weight of other people's expectations. Why is it so difficult? Because the mind clings to what is familiar, even if that familiarity suffocates the soul. It tells you to remain where you are, even when your spirit is crying for freedom. As the Buddha once reminded us, the wound is where the light enters. What feels like breaking apart is often the beginning of becoming whole. Imagine walking barefoot into a forest at dusk. The ground is uneven, the path unclear. Yet there is a silence that calls you deeper, a quiet urging that tells you this journey matters. Choosing yourself is just like that, uncomfortable at first, but filled with unseen treasures waiting to be uncovered. The truth is, the unknown is not your enemy. The unknown is simply life waiting for your courage. In Buddhist teachings, suffering often begins when we betray ourselves, when we live a life shaped by others instead of listening to our own heart. To choose yourself is not selfish. It is the highest act of respect for the life you have been given. For when you stop abandoning yourself, no betrayal from the outside can destroy your peace. The mind fears the change, but the heart already knows the way. Think of the countless times you have silenced your own needs for the sake of belonging. The late nights spent carrying burdens that were never yours. The hidden resentments that grew heavier because you didn't dare to put them down. Every time you ignored your truth, you built a prison inside. And yet, the key has always been in your hand. To choose yourself is to unlock that cage and breathe again. Start simply. Whisper to yourself, I am allowed to choose what nourishes my soul. I trust that fear is only the doorway to freedom. These words are not just affirmations, they are seeds of liberation. Plant them daily, and you will see your life begin to shift. Close your eyes now, and imagine the weight of expectations sliding off your shoulders. With every breath, you stand taller, lighter, freer. Ask yourself, what is one choice you've been avoiding because it feels uncomfortable? How would it feel to trust your own rhythm again? Sit with these questions. They are invitations, not commands. The answers may not come immediately, but they will arrive in the stillness. And here is the mystery. When you finally choose yourself, life begins to choose you back. Opportunities appear where you once saw only walls. Relationships deepen because they are built on authenticity, not obligation. Your path, though uncertain, becomes illuminated by an inner light that was always there. Remember this, fear is only the first gate. Beyond it lies freedom, beyond it lies peace, and beyond it lies the life you were meant to live. The moment you choose yourself, you are no longer just surviving. You are beginning again, more fully, more consciously, more alive. The lesson is simple, yet profound. Choosing yourself is not the end of love for others. It is the beginning of a love so deep, so grounded, that it overflows naturally. When you choose yourself, you honor the gift of life itself. and life, in turn, honors you. 2. The sacred permission to say enough. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the heart whispers a quiet but powerful word: enough. This is the sacred permission to stop pouring your energy into what drains you and instead protect the flame of your inner peace. What if saying no isn't rejection at all, but protection? Protection of your spirit, your time, your purpose. To honor your energy is to honor life's flow. The Buddha taught that clinging to what exhausts us only deepens suffering. To let go, to draw boundaries, is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of compassion. Peace is born when boundaries are set with love. And love, when it is true, does not ask you to abandon yourself. Imagine a river carving its way through stone. It does not apologize for its direction, nor does it ask permission to flow. It simply follows its natural path toward the sea. Choosing yourself is much like this river. It means allowing your life to flow where it is meant to, not where others expect it to. When you say enough, you stop fighting against the current and allow yourself to move toward freedom. Think of how many times you've said yes when your entire being longed to say no. Each of those moments felt small, but together they became heavy. They became layers of self-betrayal, teaching you to ignore your own voice. The sacred permission of saying enough lifts that weight. It brings you back to your true center, where peace and clarity dwell. Begin with gentle affirmations. Whisper within, "I am free to protect my inner peace." Saying enough opens space for what truly matters. These are not walls. They are sacred gates. Through them, only what nourishes you is welcomed. Close your eyes and picture yourself as a tree. Your roots reach deep into the soil of truth. Your branches stretch wide into the sky of possibility. Winds may come, storms may arrive, but you remain steady because your boundaries protect your life force. This is what it means to say enough with love, not as resistance, but as rooted strength. Now reflect. Where are you saying yes out of obligation instead of love? How many commitments, relationships, or responsibilities continue only because you fear disappointing others? And how would your life feel if you protected your peace first? These questions are not to judge you, but to free you. They are lanterns on the path of self-honoring. The mystery is that when you choose to protect your peace, you do not lose love, you deepen it. For love without boundaries becomes sacrifice, but love with boundaries becomes sacred. It teaches others how to respect your space, your energy, and your truth. And in turn, it teaches you that your worth does not depend on endless giving. So let the word enough live on your tongue as softly as a prayer. Each time you speak it with kindness, you create room for what truly matters to enter your life. You become like the river, flowing, purposeful, unburdened. And in that flow, you discover the truest freedom, the peace of a life lived in alignment with your soul. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "I finally choose me." 3. Comparison steals your joy like a quiet thief. Comparison steals your joy like a quiet thief in the night. It creeps in silently, convincing you that who you are and what you have is somehow not enough. Why does comparing yourself to others dim your light so quickly? It is because in those moments, you forget the abundance already alive within you. You forget that your journey is sacred, unique, and unfolding exactly as it should. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that suffering is born from craving, from the constant desire to measure and grasp at what lies outside ourselves. When you compare, you abandon your own path and wander into the illusions of another. Gratitude transforms emptiness into fullness. To return to gratitude is to return to your center, to remember the riches that have always been with you. Picture the morning sun breaking through the horizon. Now imagine a sudden mist rolling in, soft and pale, veiling the brilliance of the light. The sun has not disappeared, its power is unchanged. But comparison is like that mist. It blurs the radiance already within you, hiding your gifts behind a fog of judgment. Your light is still there, waiting for you to let it shine through again. Think of the times you've scrolled through the lives of others, seeing their victories, their smiles, their carefully painted stories. Did you feel smaller in those moments? That shrinking is not truth, it is illusion. The truth is that your story, with its struggles and its quiet triumphs, carries a beauty no one else can replicate. The universe does not create duplicates. Your life is your offering. Begin to whisper to yourself, I release the need to measure myself against others. My journey is perfect for me in this moment. These affirmations are not mere words. They are a return to your original wholeness. Every step you've taken, even the ones you call mistakes, has carved the path to who you are today. And that path is worthy. Practice this. Close your eyes. Take 3 slow, steady breaths. With each exhale, let go of comparison. With each inhale, name silently one thing you are grateful for today. 3 breaths, 3 gratitudes. In this simple practice, you remind the heart of its own abundance. Gratitude is the antidote to comparison. It turns scarcity into sufficiency, and sufficiency into joy. Now reflect gently. What comparisons have robbed you of joy this week? How would your heart feel if, instead of judgment, you chose gratitude? What would shift if you trusted that your timing, your journey, your unfolding is exactly right for you? Here is the mystery. When you release comparison, you do not fall behind. You begin to move freely. Life opens because your energy is no longer wasted on measuring yourself against illusions. Instead, it is poured into your growth, your peace, your becoming. Remember this. Comparison is a thief, but gratitude is a guardian. Gratitude protects your joy, strengthens your spirit, and reminds you of the light already shining within. And when you live from that light, you discover that you were never lacking. You were always whole. 4. The paradox. When you stop chasing, you become magnetic. There is a paradox at the heart of life. When you stop chasing, you become magnetic. Have you noticed how the more you grasp for something, the further it seems to slip away? It is because chasing creates resistance, and resistance blocks the natural flow of life. What you long for is not refusing you. It is simply waiting for you to soften, to let go, to trust. The Buddha once said, "What you seek is seeking you." This is not a poetic exaggeration. It is a truth of the universe. When your heart is restless, when your mind grasps with desperation, you create tension that pushes away what could naturally come. But when you rest in acceptance, life begins to meet you where you are. Picture a lotus flower in a quiet pond. If it tried to force itself open before its time, the petals would tear and its beauty would be lost. Instead, it waits. It allows the water, the sunlight, the rhythm of nature to open it gently. And when it blooms, it does so effortlessly, radiating its fragrance without trying. You too are like the lotus. You do not need to force your unfolding. When you stop fighting the current, you blossom. Think of the times you have pursued love, success, or recognition with all your strength, only to feel them drift further from your grasp. Each moment of desperation was like clenching your fist around water. It slipped through your fingers. And yet, the things that truly mattered often came to you when you were calm, when you least expected them, when you had stopped trying to control the outcome. Whisper to yourself, "I allow life to unfold in its own time. What I need comes to me when I am at peace." These words are not resignation. They are power. They remind you that peace is the soil in which blessings grow. The more you rest in presence, the more you attract without grasping. Try this now. Sit quietly and notice your breath. Watch it move in and out without trying to change it. Notice how life breathes you without your effort. This is the same way your blessings arrive, naturally, when you stop forcing, when you surrender to the flow. Now reflect. Where are you holding on too tightly in hopes of gaining something? Is it a relationship, a dream, or the image of who you think you should be? And how might surrender, not giving up, but letting go of force, bring what you truly need closer? These questions are doors. Open them gently, and you may discover that peace itself is the path. Here lies the mystery. When you stop chasing, you do not lose what you desire. You allow it to find you. Life is not a hunt, it is a dance. The more you relax into the rhythm, the more life steps toward you in harmony. Remember this truth. Just as the lotus blooms when the time is right, you will blossom when you surrender. And in your stillness, in your trust, you become magnetic. Not because you are reaching outward, but because you are rooted inward. And that inner peace draws to you all that was always meant to be. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "I finally choose me." 5. Letting go of expectations is the first step to stillness. Expectations feel heavy because they tie you to imagined futures, pulling you out of the sacredness of this present breath. You may not notice it at first, but every expectation is like a thread tugging at your mind, keeping you restless, making you believe peace will only arrive when life looks a certain way. But the truth is this: stillness is not found in controlling tomorrow. It is discovered in surrendering to now. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that craving and clinging are the roots of suffering. When you grip tightly to outcomes, whether they belong to your career, your relationships, or even your sense of self, you create tension between what is and what you demand it to be. The mind quiets when the heart trusts. When you trust, you soften. And in that softening, peace finds you. Imagine a bird high above the earth, flapping desperately to stay afloat. Its wings grow weary, its body heavy with effort. But then, it remembers to glide. It spreads its wings, surrendering to the current of the wind, and suddenly, it is carried effortlessly. Letting go of expectations is the same. It is the shift from force to trust, from effort to flow. Think of how much of your life has been shaped by the weight of you should be further along by now. You should make others proud. You should never fail. Each should becomes a chain, and chains cannot coexist with freedom. But when you release them, you discover that life does not need your constant control. It only asks for your presence. Begin with simple affirmations. I release the burden of other people's expectations. I welcome each moment as it comes, without struggle. These are not just phrases to repeat, they are anchors, gently returning you to yourself whenever the waves of pressure rise too high. Try this practice. Close your eyes and scan your body slowly. Notice the places where tension hides: your shoulders, your jaw, your chest. Breathe deeply into those spaces. With every exhale, imagine those knots softening, releasing the grip of expectation. This is not only physical relief, it is the body's way of teaching the mind to let go. Now ask yourself, what expectations are you holding that no longer serve you? Whose voices are you carrying that do not belong to your soul? And how would your life feel if you welcomed the unknown instead of fearing it? These questions may unsettle you at first, but they are doorways. On the other side waits a lighter, freer version of you. Here is the mystery. When you let go of expectations, you do not lose your path. You finally see it clearly. Life unfolds with more ease, more grace, when you stop demanding and start receiving. You become like the bird, gliding instead of straining. Remember this truth. Peace is not something you achieve when every plan succeeds. Peace is born the moment you release the need to control and allow yourself to rest in trust. And in that trust, stillness arises, not as something distant, but as the home you return to, here and now. 6. Choosing yourself creates space for healing. For years, you may have carried wounds hidden beneath layers of busyness, distractions, and silence. You told yourself to keep moving, to keep giving, to keep pretending the scars were not there. But deep within, the soul never forgets. Can compassion toward yourself dissolve old wounds? Yes, because healing begins not when you run from your pain, but when you turn toward it with gentleness. Buddhist wisdom teaches that suffering is not something to escape, but something to understand. To choose yourself is to pause long enough to listen to what your heart has been whispering all along. Healing is the art of listening to your soul's whispers. And those whispers often come in the form of tenderness, reminding you that even your pain has wisdom to share. Imagine a stretch of earth, cracked and parched from years without rain. At first glance, it seems lifeless. But then the rain begins to fall, softly, steadily. The soil drinks deeply, and what once seemed barren begins to awaken. This is what happens when you choose yourself. You allow compassion to fall like rain upon the forgotten parts of your being. Slowly, patiently, healing begins. Think of the times you have ignored your own hurt in order to keep peace with others. Or the times you buried your grief because you feared it would make you appear weak. All those wounds are still alive within you, waiting not for judgment, but for kindness. Choosing yourself means sitting with them, saying, "I see you. I will not abandon you anymore." Begin with these affirmations. I am patient with my own process of healing. I embrace my pain as a pathway to wisdom. These words shift the way you relate to suffering. Pain no longer becomes an enemy to fight, but a teacher guiding you back to wholeness. Practice gently. Place your hand over your heart. Feel the warmth radiating beneath your palm. With each inhale, breathe into that warmth. With each exhale, imagine your heart softening, expanding, forgiving. This simple act is a reminder you are already a source of healing for yourself. Now reflect quietly. What wounds are you still afraid to face? What would happen if you allowed self-compassion to be the lens through which you care for yourself? How different would your life feel if you treated your own pain with the same tenderness you offer to others? Here lies the mystery. When you finally choose yourself, you do not just protect your peace. You create a sanctuary within where healing can unfold. Old hurts begin to dissolve, not because time alone has passed, but because love has touched them. Remember this. Healing is not about erasing your scars. It is about allowing them to become part of your wisdom, part of your beauty, part of your strength. And when you choose yourself with compassion, you give your soul permission to finally rest, to finally breathe, and to finally bloom again. 7. The freedom of not needing to please is one of the greatest gifts you can offer yourself. For so long, perhaps you have lived performing, shaping your words, your choices, even your dreams to match what others wanted from you. But why does this path leave you so weary? Because it disconnects you from your own truth. Each performance drains a little more of your vitality until you forget the sound of your own voice. Buddhism teaches that freedom comes when we release attachment, not only to things, but to the opinions of others. To seek constant approval is to hand over your inner peace to forces beyond your control. The soul breathes when it is not performing, and your soul longs to breathe freely, without conditions, without masks. Picture a butterfly resting in its chrysalis. For a time, it remains confined, hidden, shaped by what once held it. But when the moment comes, it must shed that shell. Only then can its wings unfold. You too carry wings waiting to be revealed. The need to please is the chrysalis, safe, familiar, but limiting. Freedom arrives when you let it go. Think of how often you've said yes when you wanted to say no, or stayed silent when your truth was aching to be spoken. Each of those moments chipped away at your wholeness. But the moment you choose yourself above the pressure to conform, you reclaim the pieces of your soul that had been scattered. Begin with gentle affirmations. I give myself permission to live authentically. I am worthy, just as I am, without performing for approval. These words are a reminder that your value is not earned through pleasing others. It is inherent. Just as the sun does not shine for applause, your life does not need validation to be radiant. Try this practice. Close your eyes and imagine a cage before you. See its door opening slowly. Step outside into the wide open sky. Feel the air, the space, the freedom surrounding you. This is the image of what it means to live without the chains of approval. Boundless, unshaken, free. Now reflect. Where in your life are you still performing to be accepted? Whose approval do you secretly chase, even when it costs your peace? And how might your life change if you released that chase and simply lived as you are? These questions may stir discomfort, but they also awaken courage. Here is the mystery. When you stop trying to please everyone, you do not lose love. You find truer love. You attract people who cherish you for your authenticity, not for the roles you play. And in this way, your relationships deepen, becoming grounded in truth rather than performance. Remember this. You were not born to be an actor on someone else's stage. You were born to live your own script, to speak your own truth, to fly with your own wings. And when you no longer need to please, you finally return to the simple, profound freedom of being yourself. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, I finally choose me. 8. Self-choice is the seed of empowerment. Each time you decide to honor your truth instead of silencing it, a new strength awakens within you. How does choosing yourself give rise to this power? Because every choice made from clarity and love rewires your energy towards self-mastery. It is not loud or forceful. It is steady, unshakable, like a mountain standing through all seasons. The Buddha taught that true strength is not found in conquering others, but in conquering yourself. To live aligned with your own values, to trust the wisdom already alive within you, is a form of quiet victory. Power is found in the quiet courage to be yourself. And that courage grows with every decision you make, in honor of your soul. Picture a tiny seed buried in the darkness of the soil. It does not ask permission to grow. It simply pushes upward, breaking through stone and earth, reaching toward the light. This is what happens when you choose yourself. You rise through the weight of fear, doubt, and outside noise. And with every choice, your roots grow deeper, your spirit more unshakable. Think back to the times you betrayed yourself for acceptance. Perhaps you stayed silent when your heart wanted to speak. Perhaps you dimmed your light so that others could feel comfortable. Each of those choices drained you. But the moment you began choosing differently, even in the smallest of ways, you felt something shift. That is empowerment, the subtle reclaiming of your own life. Whisper these affirmations into your heart. Every choice I make from love strengthens my spirit. I trust the wisdom that lives within me. These words remind you that strength is not found outside. It is born each time you honor your truth. No matter how small, each self-affirming choice is a step toward wholeness. Practice this now. Close your eyes and picture a small flame glowing before you. With every breath, see it grow brighter, steadier, warmer. This flame is your inner power, fueled by self-choice. The more you choose yourself, the stronger it becomes, until it lights the path ahead with clarity and confidence. Now reflect. What empowering choice can you make today, even if it is small? How would your life shift if you consistently honored your own needs instead of ignoring them? How would your sense of power transform if you lived as though your soul's voice mattered most? Here is the mystery. Empowerment is not something given to you by the world. It is grown from within, like the seed, like the flame. Every time you choose yourself, you break through another layer of doubt, another wall of fear. Remember this. Self-choice is not selfish, it is sacred. For when you stand in your own power, you inspire others to do the same. You become a living reminder that the strength to grow, to rise, to shine, has always been within. And from that place, nothing can take away your peace. 9. Stillness isn't escaping, it's returning. Yet for many, stillness feels foreign, even uncomfortable. Why do you feel restless when you are alone? Because the mind longs for distraction. It runs to noise, to activity, to constant movement, instead of returning to its true source, the calm center of being. But the truth is this: what you are seeking in the outside world has always been waiting quietly within you. Buddhism teaches that peace is not something to be achieved, but uncovered. Beneath the restless waves of thought lies a deeper ocean of silence. Stillness is where the heart remembers its home. This is not an escape from life, but a gentle return to the essence of who you are. Imagine a lake after a strong wind. For a time, the surface is stirred into ripples and chaos. But when the wind passes, the waters begin to settle, and slowly, the depth of the lake reveals itself again. Stillness in your life is just like this. It is not about removing the winds of challenge, but about allowing them to pass, so your inner depth can reappear. Think of how often you reach for your phone, for tasks, for conversations, not because they are necessary, but because silence feels unbearable. Restlessness tricks you into believing that stillness is emptiness. Yet stillness is not empty. It is full. It is the space where clarity arises, where healing takes root, where the heart finally remembers its own rhythm. Whisper these affirmations softly. I return to myself again and again. I trust that peace resides within me, waiting patiently. These words remind you that you do not need to chase calmness. It is already within you, simply waiting for you to stop running away. Try this practice. Sit quietly for a few moments and allow the world around you to speak. Listen to the sounds, the hum of the air, the birds outside, even the distant movements of life. Do not label them. Do not judge them. Just receive them. In this simple listening, you enter the space of stillness. You begin to notice that silence is not an absence, but a presence. Reflect on this gently. What distracts you from returning to yourself? Is it busyness, fear, or the belief that you must always be doing something to matter? And how can you create even small spaces for stillness each day? Perhaps it is a few deep breaths before you rise, a pause before a meal, or a quiet moment before sleep. Here lies the mystery. When you cultivate stillness, you do not disconnect from life. You reconnect with it. The more you return inward, the more fully you can meet the world outward, with clarity, patience, and compassion. Remember this: stillness is not escape. It is homecoming. Like the lake that reflects the sky, once the winds have passed, your spirit reveals its depth when you rest in silence. And in that return, you discover the truth. Peace was never lost. It was simply waiting for you to come back. 10. The moment you choose yourself, you begin to love the whole world. The moment you choose yourself, something extraordinary begins to unfold. You awaken the capacity to love the whole world. At first, it may seem selfish to turn inward, to give your own soul the attention it has long been denied. But in truth, self-love is not separation. It is the very root of connection. When you are rooted in compassion for yourself, kindness flows outward without effort, like water from a spring. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises when we believe we are separate, cut off from the vast web of life. But when you begin to honor yourself, your needs, your wounds, your light, you realize that your heart is not a closed chamber. It is a wellspring. And from that wellspring, love expands naturally, endlessly. Self-love is the wellspring of universal love. Imagine a lamp lighting other lamps in the dark. With each touch of flame, more light fills the room, yet the original flame is never diminished. This is the power of choosing yourself. Your care for your own heart does not reduce your capacity to care for others. It amplifies it. It gives your compassion roots, so it is not blown away by exhaustion or resentment. So many spend their lives pouring from an empty cup, saying yes, while silently breaking inside. But when you choose yourself, you refill the cup first, and only then can you pour into others from a place of wholeness. Whisper these affirmations gently. I nurture myself with love, and it overflows into the world. My heart is whole, abundant, and open. Let these words remind you that you are not choosing between yourself and others. You are choosing a love large enough for both. Practice this mindfulness now. Close your eyes and imagine a soft, warm light at the center of your chest. With each breath, let this light expand, filling your body, your room, your community, and reaching outward to every being. Notice how it does not diminish within you. Instead, it grows stronger as it touches others. This is how self-love becomes universal love. Reflect on this deeply. How would loving yourself change the way you interact with others? Would patience come more naturally? Would forgiveness be easier to offer? And what would it feel like to share kindness without fear, without condition, simply because it overflows from within you? Remember this truth: choosing yourself is not a withdrawal from the world, but a gift to it. When you love yourself, you stop seeking love in desperate ways. You stop clinging, comparing, and competing. Instead, you stand in quiet fullness, and from that fullness, you give freely. Choosing yourself, then, is not just about your own healing. It is about the healing of the world. For when one heart remembers its wholeness, it becomes a lamp that lights countless others, carrying love into places that have long been waiting for its glow. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "I finally choose me." 11. Detachment is not distance, it's depth. Many fear the word detachment, imagining it as coldness, indifference, or withdrawal. But in the wisdom of Buddhism, detachment is not about closing the heart. It is about opening it so fully that it no longer clings. It is a love that does not bind, a presence that does not demand. Why do we resist this? Because the mind equates holding tightly with caring deeply. Yet, the tighter you hold, the more life slips through your grasp. To let go is to love without holding on. Detachment is not the absence of love. It is love purified of fear. Picture a tree rooted deeply in the earth. It does not cling to the wind as it passes, nor does it fear the storm. Its roots grounded, while its branches sway freely. This is the essence of detachment, strong enough to endure, soft enough to move with life's rhythm. True detachment allows us to connect without control, to love without possession. Too often, relationships become chains instead of wings. We grasp at people, outcomes, and identities because we fear loss. But clinging only breeds suffering. Detachment whispers a different truth. You can love fully and still release. You can care deeply and still allow freedom. When you release the illusion of control, what remains is pure presence. Repeat these affirmations within. I release what I cannot control with love and grace. I remain open-hearted while staying grounded. These words remind you that your strength lies not in grasping, but in trusting. Try this mindfulness practice. Close your eyes and imagine roots growing deep into the earth beneath you. Feel the steady strength anchoring you. Now imagine your branches, your arms, your heart, swaying gently in the breeze, free to move, free to flow. Notice how security and freedom coexist. This is the balance of detachment. Reflect on this quietly. Where are you holding on out of fear? To a person, to a story, to an outcome? And how would your relationships feel if you approached them not with grasping, but with openness, allowing each bond to breathe, to shift, to be alive? Detachment, then, is not separation from life. It is intimacy with life. It is the courage to let things be as they are without forcing them into your design. It deepens your capacity to listen, to witness, to love without expectation. When you practice detachment, you do not lose connection, you discover its truest form. Love becomes lighter, freer, more expansive. Like the tree rooted yet open to the wind, you remain steady while embracing the movement of all things. And in that balance, you find both strength and serenity. Bonus lesson. Choosing yourself aligns you with destiny. What if everything you've been searching for has been within you all along? This is the hidden truth. When you finally choose yourself, you step into alignment with life itself. The struggle, the endless seeking, the restless hunger, all begin to soften when you realize that the key you've been chasing is already resting quietly in your own hands. When you trust yourself, the universe conspires in your favor. These words remind us that destiny is not something you stumble upon by accident. It is something that awakens when you dare to honor your own truth. Choosing yourself is not an act of selfishness, it is an act of faith. Faith that your path, though uncertain, carries a wisdom larger than fear. Imagine a river flowing tirelessly, winding through valleys, carving its way past obstacles, until at last it surrenders into the ocean. The river does not resist, it trusts the current. In the same way, when you stop resisting your own truth and begin to live it, you discover a greater expanse, your life merging with something vast and infinite. Too often, we silence our own hearts to fit into the molds that others design for us. We bury our dreams under layers of doubt. We trade authenticity for acceptance. But the cost is heavy. The more you deny yourself, the more lost you feel. Yet the moment you say, "I trust my own rhythm," a quiet strength awakens. Life begins to flow again, not because the world changes, but because you have stopped fighting yourself. Repeat this gently to yourself. I trust the path that unfolds from within me. I welcome life's flow and move with it in harmony. These words are seeds that can grow into courage, into peace, into clarity. Here is a simple mindfulness practice. Sit comfortably, breathe deeply, and with each exhale, imagine your heart expanding outward in every direction, radiating warmth, light, and connection. Feel yourself merging with the universe, not as something separate, but as something deeply woven into its fabric. Notice how alignment feels less like striving and more like returning home. Now reflect. What would happen if you fully trusted the path ahead, even if you cannot yet see every step? How would your life shift if you stopped waiting for permission and chose your own truth today? Choosing yourself aligns you with destiny, not because destiny is a fixed map, but because life itself responds to authenticity. When you honor your heart, doors open, synchronicities appear, and you begin to meet the right people at the right time, in the right way. This is the mystery of life's flow. It does not resist the one who is aligned with it. Like the river merging with the ocean, you too can find your true expanse. And in that vastness, you will see, choosing yourself was never about separation. It was always about returning to the wholeness you were born to embody. Quick summary of the principles. Choosing yourself feels like stepping into the unknown. Choosing yourself can feel frightening at first because the mind is conditioned to seek comfort and approval from others. Making decisions that prioritize your well-being requires courage as it disrupts familiar patterns. Buddhist wisdom teaches that fear is temporary and can be embraced as a doorway to inner strength. The sacred permission to say enough. Setting boundaries and saying enough is not rejection, but an act of self-respect and compassion. It allows you to protect your energy and prioritize what truly nurtures your soul. Buddhist teachings encourage mindful living, where aligning with what supports you leads to inner peace. Comparison steals your joy. Like a quiet thief, a habit of comparing yourself to others blinds you to your own blessings and creates unnecessary suffering. Gratitude helps shift your focus from lack to abundance. By learning to appreciate your unique path, you align with contentment and self-worth. The paradox. When you stop chasing, you become magnetic. Chasing after desires creates resistance and blocks the natural flow of life. When you let go and trust the process, what you need begins to come to you effortlessly. This shift from grasping to allowing opens space for alignment and synchronicity. Letting go of expectations is the first step to stillness. Expectations tie you to imagined outcomes and prevent you from experiencing the present fully. Releasing them helps you cultivate trust and allows life's flow to unfold naturally. Buddhist mindfulness invites you to embrace uncertainty with openness and ease. Choosing yourself creates space for healing. Self-care and acceptance allow deep wounds to surface and dissolve, creating room for transformation. Healing requires patience and compassion toward yourself. By staying present with your emotions, you invite renewal and strength. The freedom of not needing to please. Trying to please others disconnects you from your authentic self and drains your energy. Living authentically without performing for approval helps you regain vitality and self-respect. Buddhist teachings remind you that your worth isn't tied to others' expectations. Self-choice is the seed of empowerment. Each conscious choice made from clarity strengthens your sense of empowerment and inner mastery. Trusting yourself creates resilience and opens the door to deeper spiritual growth. Empowerment comes from honoring your own truth. Stillness isn't escaping, it's returning. Restlessness arises when you distract yourself instead of returning to the quiet space within. Stillness is not avoidance, but a way to reconnect with your heart's wisdom. By being present, you create harmony between mind and body. The moment you choose yourself, you begin to love the whole world. When you cultivate love and compassion for yourself, it naturally radiates outward toward others. Self-love is the foundation for healthy relationships and authentic connection. Buddhist philosophy teaches that the more you love yourself, the more your capacity to love expands. Detachment is not distance, it's depth. Detachment is misunderstood as disconnection, but it is actually the strength to remain open-hearted without clinging. Letting go with love allows you to stay rooted and grounded while moving through life's uncertainties. Depth of connection arises from releasing control. Choosing yourself aligns you with destiny. Aligning with your inner truth allows life's flow to guide you toward purpose and fulfillment. Trusting yourself and surrendering resistance opens doors to new experiences and deeper meaning. Buddhist insight shows that destiny unfolds naturally when you choose presence over fear. You have now arrived at a sacred crossroads, one where the whispers of your soul call you towards something greater than comfort or approval. Choosing yourself is not an act of rebellion, but an offering of love to the deepest part of who you are. When you let go of fear, expectations, and comparisons, you create space for healing, presence, and grace to enter your life. This is the beginning of a journey not defined by struggle, but by profound inner strength and clarity. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Let these words settle in your heart like a soft ember, warming your spirit each day. Trust that by choosing yourself, you are aligning with the flow of life, where purpose, love, and peace come not as rewards, but as reflections of your inner harmony. Each mindful choice you make roots you deeper in compassion and awakens the wisdom already present within. So, gently, courageously, I invite you to return to yourself today. Ask, what would it feel like if I embraced my own path without apology? Let that question guide you toward the quiet strength that has always been waiting. If this message touched your heart, like and share this video. Share your thoughts in the comment box.